Imagine you are standing in a very hot desert 2,000 years ago. The sun is burning your skin. You are very thirsty. Suddenly, a servant brings you a bowl of cold, sweet snow mixed with fruit. It feels like magic, right? This was the beginning of the world's favorite dessert. Long ago, there were no freezers. There were no refrigerators. People had to be very creative to stay cool. The first ice cream did not look like the scoops we see today. It was more like a cold slushie or a sweet snow cone. Around the year 200 BC, people in China found a way to enjoy a cold snack. They took fresh snow from the mountains. They mixed this snow with soft rice and sweet milk. It was a very special treat. Only the richest people could eat it. Why was that? Because getting snow in the summer was very hard work. The idea of cold sweets traveled to other places too. Think about the famous Roman Emperor, Nero. He was a very powerful leader. He loved luxury. He sent fast runners into the high mountains. These men ran as fast as possible to bring back bags of ice and snow. Then, the chefs in the palace mixed the snow with honey. They added bits of fresh fruit and nuts. This was the first version of a fruit sorbet. It was cold. It was sweet. It was perfect for a hot day in Rome. But the story of ice cream has a very important secret from India. Did you know that India gave us the most important part of ice cream? That part is sugar. Many centuries ago, people in India discovered something amazing. They looked at the tall sugarcane plants in their fields. They learned how to turn the juice of the sugarcane into small, hard crystals. They called these sweet crystals khanda. Does that word sound familiar to you? This is the root of our modern word candy. Because of this discovery, people could finally make things very sweet. During the time of the great Mughal Empire in India, the royal family loved cold food. They were very sophisticated. They created a special dessert called Kulfi. You can still buy Kulfi in many Indian restaurants today. Kulfi is very different from Western ice cream. To make it, chefs boiled milk for a very long time. The milk became thick and creamy. Then, they added green cardamom for a beautiful smell. They also added chopped pistachios for a little crunch. They put this sweet milk into metal cones. They buried the cones in ice and salt to make them freeze. The result was a dense, rich, and cold dessert. It did not melt quickly like modern ice cream. It was a royal treasure. So, we have snow from China. We have fruit from Rome. We have sugar and creamy kulfi from India. Humans were getting closer to the ice cream we know. But there was still one big problem. Ice was still very expensive. It was for kings, not for everyone. How did ice become something we all can use? This leads us to a secret science trick. It is the trick of being colder than ice. Imagine you are a king 500 years ago. You want to show your friends that you are the most powerful man in the world. Do you show them your gold? No. You show them a bowl of ice cream in the middle of a hot summer. Back then, a single scoop of ice cream cost more than a house. Ice was the ultimate luxury. In those days, there was no way to make ice. You could only harvest it. This means people had to wait for winter. They went to high mountains or frozen lakes. They cut heavy blocks of ice by hand. Think about the effort. Hundreds of workers had to carry these blocks down the mountain. They used horses and carts. Many blocks melted before they reached the city. Only a very rich person could pay for this. Because of this, ice cream was a symbol of pure power. But there was a big problem. Ice is cold. But it is not cold enough to make smooth ice cream. If you put a bowl of milk on a block of ice, the milk stays liquid. It might get cold, but it will never become solid and creamy. Then, someone found a brilliant science trick. They discovered a magic ingredient: salt. Here is the surprising part. When you mix salt with crushed ice, the temperature drops very quickly. It becomes much colder than 0 degrees Celsius. This discovery changed the kitchen forever. Now, chefs could put a metal bowl of cream inside a bucket of salty ice. They stirred the cream for a long time. Because the salty ice was so cold, the cream finally turned into solid, smooth ice cream. Imagine the excitement in the palace. The chefs could finally make treats that did not feel like crunchy ice. They felt like soft clouds. But how did they keep the ice for the whole year? They did not have electricity. The ancient Persians were very clever. They lived in the hot desert. They built giant buildings called yakhchal. These buildings looked like big mud cones. They were very tall. Inside a yakhchal, there was a deep room under the ground. The walls were very thick. They used a special mix of sand, clay, and goat hair. This mix kept the heat out. In the winter, they filled the room with ice. The ice stayed frozen all summer long. Even when the desert outside was burning hot, the ice stayed solid. In Europe, people used a different way. They built ice houses deep under the earth. They used bricks and straw to cover the ice. This worked like a giant thermos. Some ice houses could keep ice frozen for 2 or 3 years. It was the world's first refrigerator. Because of these underground rooms, the rich could eat ice cream in July. They could enjoy a cold treat while the rest of the world was sweating. It was a very quiet, cold world under the ground. But soon, things were going to change. Ice was about to stop being a royal secret. A man from America had a crazy idea. He wanted to sell ice to everyone in the world. He was not a king, but people called him a king. They called him the Ice King. Picture a giant frozen lake in the middle of winter. The air is so cold you can see your breath. Hundreds of men are using long, sharp saws to cut the blue ice into perfect squares. They are not building a house. They are harvesting white gold. This ice will travel thousands of miles across the ocean to make the first factory ice cream in history. For a long time, ice was only for the rich. But in the middle of the 19th century, a man named Frederick Tudor had a big dream. People called him the Ice King. He lived in a cold part of America called New England. He looked at the frozen lakes and saw a business. He decided to ship this ice to hot places like the Caribbean and India. At first, everyone laughed at him. They said, "The ice will melt before it arrives." But Frederick was very smart. He used dry straw and wood dust to cover the ice blocks inside his ships. The straw worked like a thick blanket. It kept the heat out and the cold in. When his ships arrived in hot countries, the people were shocked. They saw huge blocks of ice in the middle of summer. This was a miracle. Because of Frederick Tudor, the price of ice dropped very fast. It was no longer a luxury for kings. Now, middle-class families could buy a block of ice for a few cents. They could keep food fresh. And most importantly, they could finally make ice cream at home. But making ice cream was still very tiring. You had to stir the heavy cream by hand for hours. Your arms would get very sore. Then, in 1843, a woman named Nancy Johnson changed everything. She invented a brilliant machine called the hand-cranked ice cream freezer. It was a simple wooden bucket with a metal bowl inside. There was a handle on the top. When you turned the handle, a paddle inside the bowl stirred the cream for you. This machine made the work much easier. It also made the ice cream much smoother. Now, making a bowl of ice cream only took 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. Every family wanted one of these machines. Soon, a man named Jacob Fussell saw another big opportunity. He was a milk dealer in Baltimore. Sometimes he had too much milk and cream left over. He did not want to throw it away. In 1851, he decided to build the first ice cream factory in the world. He used large machines to make huge amounts of ice cream at once. Because he made so much, he could sell it for a very low price. Suddenly, ice cream was everywhere. You could buy it on the street corner. You could buy it at a small shop. It was the birth of a global love story. But as more people started eating ice cream, new and funny problems began to happen. These problems led to some of the most famous ice cream inventions in history. Some of them happened by total accident. It is a very hot day at a big fair in 1904. You are standing in the middle of the St. Louis World's Fair in America. You are selling ice cream, but you have a huge problem. You ran out of clean glass plates. Your customers are waiting. Suddenly, the man next to you offers a strange piece of thin, crispy bread. This tiny moment changed how we eat ice cream forever. Before this day, people usually ate ice cream from small glass bowls. Washing these bowls took a lot of time. At the fair, the ice cream man was too busy. Next to his stand, a man from Syria named Ernest Hamwi was selling zalabia. That is a thin, crispy waffle. Ernest saw the problem. He took one of his hot waffles and rolled it into a cone shape. Then he gave it to the ice cream man. The busy seller put a cold scoop on top. It was perfect. Customers loved it because they could eat the bowl too. This was the birth of the ice cream cone. But ice cream has many other funny stories. Have you ever eaten an ice cream sundae? This sweet treat was born because of a strange law. Long ago, some American towns had blue laws. These rules said it was wrong to sell soda with ice cream on a Sunday. People felt very sad. Shop owners wanted to fix this. They decided to follow the law by taking away the soda. Instead, the shops put a thick, sweet syrup on top of the ice cream. They called it a Sunday treat. Later, the spelling changed to Sunday, so it did not look like the holy day. Sometimes, kids are the best inventors. Think about a boy named Frank Epperson. In 1905, little Frank was only 11 years old. One cold night, he was playing on his porch with a cup of soda. A wooden stick sat inside the cup to stir the drink. Frank forgot the cup outside. The next morning, the boy found his soda was solid ice. He pulled the wooden stick, and the whole block of frozen soda came out. The taste was amazing. Frank called his invention the popsicle. Today, Americans call it a popsicle. This love for ice cream traveled a long way to reach America. First, it became famous in Europe. In 1686, a man from Italy opened Café Procope in Paris, France. This was the first place to sell ice cream to the public in a cafe. The world was changing. Before this cafe, only kings ate cold desserts in their private palaces. Inside Café Procope, famous writers and thinkers sat together. They ate sweet cream and talked about big ideas. Ice cream was finally for the people. Did you know that ice cream was once a strange experiment? In the 18th century, it was a new playground for chefs. Cooks tried everything. Some old cookbooks have recipes for Parmesan cheese ice cream. Other chefs used heavy spices or even green vegetables like asparagus. The flavors were very weird. These people were not looking for a quick snack. The wealthy wanted a surprising experience at a royal dinner. But as years passed, ice cream became more than a fancy food. It became a symbol of home and comfort. This was very clear during World War II. The United States military knew that their soldiers were very tired. American men were fighting far away from their families. The government wanted to give them something to make them smile. They did something incredible. Military leaders spent $1 million to build a floating ice cream factory. It was a giant ship made of concrete. This special ship did not have any guns. It only had machines to make thousands of gallons of ice cream every hour. The sailors were so happy. When soldiers saw the ice cream ship, they felt a little bit of home. It was a simple way to say thank you for their hard work. For those brave men, a cold cup of vanilla was the best medicine. Today, the world of ice cream is a giant empire. American companies like Ben & Jerry's have changed the business again. These famous founders do not just sell sweet food. The company uses its money to help the planet. They care about people and nature. It is sweet progress. Now think about your own favorite flavor. Is it classic chocolate? Maybe it is bright green mint. When you take a bite, you are not just eating sugar and milk. You are tasting thousands of years of history. You are tasting the cold snow of ancient China. You are enjoying the hard work of the Ice King. The lucky mistake of an 11-year-old boy is in your hand. Ice cream started as a royal secret for the most powerful people, but today it belongs to you. Now, before you go, here is a small challenge for you. Think about your favorite ice cream flavor. Write it in the comments below. Try to use English. Maybe write 1 or 2 sentences. For example, my favorite flavor is mango because it reminds me of summer. Simple is perfect. This is your English practice for today. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button. We tell a new story every single day. Tomorrow, there will be a fresh one waiting for you. See you then.